Each presenter has 20 minutes with 5 minutes for questions and then a 5-minute break between presentations. As usual, feel free to post your questions in the chat or use the raise hand function in question time at the end of the presentation. And in the meantime, please remember to keep your microphone on mute. I will again post the links to our social media. If you would like to make any posts about the conference or this presentation, please do. And now it's my pleasure to welcome Mohammed, our second presenter, whose presentation is entitled Wisdom in the Counsel of Many, Refining Cognitive Reading Attributes Through Multi-Criteria Fuzzy Delphi. Thanks very much, Mohammed.
All right, thank you, Sally. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining our presentation today. So my title is Wisdom in the Counsel of Many, Refining Cognitive Attributes, Reading Attributes Through Multi-Criteria Fuzzy Delphi. So this is actually a part of my PhD project that I'm currently conducting. And this is the earlier part where I need to refine the attributes that I will have to use in the construction of cognitive diagnostic assessment items. All right, so let me begin with a brief overview of the foundation of the study. A fundamental component of cognitive diagnostic assessment lies in the specification of attributes. In the context of cognitive diagnostic assessment, or we also call it as CDA, this attribute represent the discrete fine-grained skills or knowledge units that allow us to diagnose learners' specific strengths and weaknesses. For attributes to be meaningful and useful in diagnosis, they must fulfill four essential criteria, and that are relevant, meaning they should align with the curriculum of the intended or targeted population, and they also need to be important, meaning they contribute meaningfully to the overall construct. Thirdly, they must be measurable in terms of itemization, be capable of being operationalized into test items. And also, finally, they must be specific by offering clear and actionable diagnostic feedback to stakeholders, including teachers, curriculum developers, and also students. So, this study responds to three major challenges observed in the past cognitive diagnostic research. Firstly, in terms of expert-dependent attribute specification under uncertainty. In complex domains like reading, attributes must often be specified by experts because empirical evidence is very limited. In classic Delphi method, it presume precise deterministic inputs which clashes with the real-world ambiguity and interpretive variability in experts' judgment. Thereby, it threatens the consistency and validity. Second, the unidimensionality of conventional fuzzy Delphi method, FDM, because most FDM application evaluate a single criterion, which is typically relevance. So this one-track lens cannot capture the multi-dimensional nature of attributes needed for CDA, overlooking other critical dimensions required for operational use, just like what I mentioned in the previous slide. And thirdly is practical weakness of selected attributes. When attributes are filtered solely based on their relevance, they might appear conceptually sound, but prove practically weak. Some may too broad or ambiguous. Others may have limited contribution to reading development or may be difficult to measure through observable tasks or items. So this undermines diagnostic clarity and reduces the instructional assessment value of the CDA framework. So this brings us to the objective and the research questions of my study. The objective is very clear: to determine the specificity, relevance, importance, and measurability of cognitive reading comprehension attributes based on expert evaluation. So from this, we have two guiding research questions. The first one is: to what extent do experts perceive the cognitive reading comprehension attributes as specific, relevant, important, and also measurable? And the second one is: which cognitive reading attribute demonstrate the highest expert consensus and strongest performance across the specificity, relevance, importance, and measurability, or also known as SRIM criteria. So now let me explain the theoretical framework that underpins this study. At the core is the concept of CDA, Cognitive Diagnostic Assessment, as a modern testing approach that provides fine-grained diagnostic feedback on learners' specific cognitive strengths and weaknesses. It moved beyond a single test score to identify specific reading subskills like in item response theory, IRT, and also classical test theory, CTT. So this assessment is built upon models such as proposed by Leighton and Gill, and also Rob, Tamplin, and Hansen. In the role of cognitive attributes, so in CDA, attributes are the cognitive building blocks that link performance to specific skills. So each attribute must be specific, relevant, important, and measurable. And it also must be properly defined to ensure diagnostic validity and actionable results. So the role some theories that grounding of this study also draws from reading comprehension models. For example, Kinch Construction Integration Model 1988, which explains how readers construct meaning by integrating textual information with prior knowledge, and also reading taxonomy by Lubke and Lowry, which propose hierarchical model of reading comprehension, including recognition, understanding, analysis, inference, and also application. So some literature review of the study. First, within CDA, numerous studies have shown its value in language testing, particularly in diagnosing subskills in reading comprehension. This includes studies by Chan, Chopra, and Shakir, which address the need for actionable feedback and curriculum alignment. But the challenges are these studies are all mostly retrofitting existing items and has weak construct representation. So we need new studies that construct CDA items from the ground. And then in terms of fuzzy Delphi method, it of course indeed it enhances this study enhances classical Delphi by integrating fuzzy set theory to handle uncertainty and in expert judgment. Um, for instance, it has successfully applied in validating teaching quality measures and curriculum frameworks. But despite this strength, traditional FDM is still unidimensional. So it typically focuses on one single criteria, such as relevance, overlooking the other essential aspect of construct validity. And then to overcome this limitation, this study introduces the multi-criteria fuzzy Delphi method, or also called as MCFDM, which extends the conventional FDM by enabling experts to evaluate each attribute across multiple dimensional, in this case is stream, framework. So this multi-dimensional evaluation not only enhances methodological rigor, but also ensures that the validated attributes are both theoretically robust and pedagogically actionable. So let's move on to the methods of this study. So this study, they adopted an expert evaluation design using multi-criteria fuzzy Delphi method. The design centers on expert judgment and fuzzy logic analysis. So through this framework, experts evaluated each reading attribute not just from one perspective, but also from four parallel dimensions framework. So the samples participated in the study is 10 experts. They were carefully selected based on their credentials in TEFL, and also language testing. And then secondly, their experiences, professional experiences with having more than 10 years in the field, and also the involvement in research, curriculum development, and also assessment related projects. So in this study, I use one instrument that is to gather expert evaluation form, which consists of evaluation of the 15 candidate attributes, the evaluation of attributes definitions, and also it uses 7 Likert scale against the SCREAM criteria. So for the analysis, obviously, I use fuzzy Delphi analysis anchored on the established acceptance 3 criteria. First, the threshold value of less than 0.2, and then expert consensus exceeding 75%, and also the fuzzification value cut score of 0.5. So these are the attributes, the 15 attributes extracted from document analysis from biological curriculum and also literature review of reading framework, international and also regional. So let us now move on to the findings. So the first one is, to what extent do experts perceive the cognitive reading comprehension attributes as specific? So in terms of specificity, out of the 15 candidate attributes, 12 were accepted, showing that most were clearly defined and suitable for cognitive analysis. Attributes such as retrieving explicit information and also identifying main ideas, A3 and A4, achieve the highest score specificity score. However, three attributes were rejected. That are A7, grammar knowledge, A12, evaluating genres, and also A13, predicting sequence of events. So overall, the high acceptance rate for most attributes reflects strong agreement between experts that the proposed cognitive attributes are clearly defined and also diagnostically focused. Second, in terms of relevance, which attributes are perceived as relevant by the experts. So here again, 12 out of 15 attributes met the acceptance criteria. Attributes such as retrieving explicit information, A3, and also identifying main ideas, A4, ranked highest with perfect consensus and diversification values of 0.9 and above. Whereas A14, A12, and also A10 were rejected due to lower consensus level. So this result suggests that while higher order skills are important theoretically, they may not be explicitly emphasized or accessible within the current curriculum context. And then under the first research question, the third part is which attributes are important. The findings show that 13 attributes are accepted as important. Once again, identifying main ideas, A4 and A5, understanding sentences stood out as the most important, with maximum expert consensus and fuzzy score above 0.94. So this reflects the expert strong agreement. On the other hand, again, evaluating genres, A12, and predicting sequence of events, A13, were rejected, which indicate maybe they are not important for the context of reading comprehension in high school students. And then in terms of measurability, to what extent which attribute can be translated into observable and item tasks. So this dimension produced the most stringent result because only 7 attributes were accepted, meaning 8 attributes were rejected. The top 3 measurable attributes include retrieving explicit information, again A3, recognizing word meaning A1, and also identifying main ideas A4. Conversely, attributes such as making inference, understanding passages, and synthesizing information were rejected. So in short, while foundational reading skills were both measurable and well-defined, higher order comprehension attributes face challenges in operationalization. All right, so now moving on to the second research question, which aimed to determine which cognitive reading comprehension attribute demonstrate the highest expert consensus across the SCREAM criteria. As we can see from the table, several attributes stood out as consistently strong performers. At the top of the ranking is A3 with 100% agreement across all 4 criteria. So this means every expert agreed that this SDA was clearly defined, relevant, important, and also easily measurable. Following closely is A4, identifying main ideas, which score 90% out of 100% across all criteria. So these 2 attributes form the core layer of the analytic reading competence because they capture essential comprehension processes that are both theoretically sound and also practically accessible. Attributes A1, A9, and A5 also demonstrated strong agreement level, around 85 to 90%. In contrast, attributes such as A12, A13, and A10 recorded the lowest consensus. So this indicates that experts were less confident in their diagnostic precision and curricular relevance, and it has potential areas for redefinition or further empirical validation. So when compared based on the ranking, so I use this ranking, the last column here, to compare the attributes based on the evaluation dimension. So this is the summary of their performance. So we can see the blue one are the top attributes, while the red one the lowest attributes. So again, A3, A4 dominate the spectrum, ranking within the top 3 position in almost every dimension. This confirms the robustness as the diagnostic attributes that are clear, relevant, essential, and also highly measurable. Whereas attributes such as A12, A13, and A14 were among the lowest ranked across multiple dimensions. So these tend to be more abstract and context dependent, which may explain their weaker performance in terms of clarity and also measurable feasibility. All right. So from this particular research, I bring it brings us into the discussion of two major findings. The first one is the strength spectrum and measurability challenge. The finding reveal a clear strength spectrum among the attributes. Foundational skills such as retrieving explicit information and identifying main ideas perform strongly across all stream criteria, maybe because they are clear, concrete, and also measurable. However, higher order skills such as synthesizing information and inferring author styles show lower measurability. They are cognitively important but difficult to capture through conventional test item, particularly using objective scoring item like multiple choice question. So this imbalance highlight a bias towards surface level skill. To address this, future assessment should adopt innovative innovation in task design, such as scenario-based or performance-based task-based to measure complex reading process more specifically. And then when grouped by cognitive function, a clear pattern emerge. Attributes are clustered into four domains: recognition, understanding, analysis, inference, and application. Um, mean So attributes within recognition and understanding analysis domains, such as recognition and main idea attribute identification, consistently rank highest. This skills align with the lower mid model of Lupke and Lowry taxonomy. Meanwhile, inference and application attributes scored lower due to their abstract interpretive nature. This implication is that CDM model should integrate both foundational and higher level attributes. So I propose some implication in terms of theory, methodology, and also practical. In terms of theoretical implications, this study validated a multi-dimensional framework stream for attribute evaluation in CDA. It also supports reading as a multi-layer process, multi-dimensional, from literal to inferential and evaluative levels. And also it reinforces alignment between theoretical cognitive models and diagnostic constructs. In terms of methodological implication, this study demonstrates the utility of MCFDM as an advancement of the traditional FDM. It also enhances rigor, depth, and interpretive reliability in aspect consensus studies because it integrates more than one dimension of evaluation. And also it provides a replicable procedures for validating complex construct in language testing across multiple evaluation criteria. So in terms of practical implication, it offers a validated set of cognitive reading attributes for diagnostic test design. So after this, further research can be done to construct items for CDA, and also highlights the need to balance measurable and higher order attributes in CDA-based reading assessment. And finally, encourages innovative item formats to assess complex comprehension skills. Some limitations of the study. This study is limited to homogeneous expert sample because all samples experts are coming from the same background. That's language education, language testing, and reliance on expert judgment because this study hasn't collected empirical validation using student data. But after this, I'm going to collect data from students. And also under representation of complex skill, higher order attributes may have been undervalued due to measurability constraint. And finally, static assessment context finding may be limited to Malaysian secondary level reading curriculum context. So some recommendation, future research may broaden expert panel by including heterogeneous sample, including teachers, curriculum specialists, or policymakers for diverse perspective. And also can be triangulated with empirical data, maybe using student responses, verbal think club protocol, and item analysis, maybe using RUSH or CDM, cognitive diagnostic modeling, and whatnot. And also, future research can adopt dynamic assessment, integrate technology, enhanced tasks to capture reasoning and process data, and maybe extend to other skills by applying MCFDM framework to other language skills such as listening and writing, and also integrated language assessment. And finally, can refine higher order construct by revisiting and operationalizing attributes like synthesizing and inferencing author styles. So as a conclusion, MFDM refined and validated cognitive reading attributes across the stream criteria, and it reveals strong consensus on foundational attributes A3, A4, and A1. A3 is main idea, A4 is A1 is vocabulary. This study also highlighted the gap in assessing higher order reading skills. And the stream framework strengthens the theoretical and practical validity in CDA, and it reinforces the power of expert wisdom in constructing valid assessment. So, to sum up, if there's one truth about that this study has found is every valid assessment begins not with a question but with a consensus. So, with that, thank you. Over to Sally.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. That was a wonderful presentation. Thank you for sharing that study. Very interesting. Do we have some questions for Mohammed? Yes, that's a clap or Chenya or a raise hand. Clapping. I'm looking for some hands.
Yeah, but I do have a question.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. So I'm sorry if I missed this part, but could you please share how the cognitive attributes in your study were defined or selected? So was it based on the existing, I see the taxonomy you shared in the page 2, or developed based on your data? Yeah.
Okay, so these 15 attributes are selected or extracted from quite a number of documents. First, it includes document analysis from our national curriculum in terms of reading for English language in high school. Second, I also include the FISA framework, reading framework 2018. And thirdly, I gathered attributes from past literatures, specifically in cognitive forensic assessment, where the samples are high school students. So these three play a major, these three are the main sources of where I got the attributes.
Thank you.
Mohammed, I have a question, unless there's anyone else.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a really rigorous methodology that you've explained for, I guess, elaborating the reading construct for a particular context, the high school reading context. I'm wondering, were the results in line with your intuitive expectations, or were they surprising to you? And a sort of second part to that question is, did you do validation in the form of getting feedback from the panel on how confident they were in the judgments they made during that process?
Well, to be honest, it is not what I expected. So what I did was after this fuzzy Delphi method, I went back to the panels to ask quality open-ended questions for them to refine and justify their evaluation and give suggestion on what maybe there are attributes that are not worded correctly, maybe any attributes that are needed to be combined, or so I went back to the panels for quality feedback. Yeah.
Yeah.
So because I think yes, it is rigorous, this quantitative method is rigorous, but we still need qualitative feedback from the experts. So that's why I combined this fuzzy and also qualitative feedback from the experts. Yeah.
Do you think the findings, you talked about some practical applications, including informing curriculum and task design. Do you think your findings could inform existing reading frameworks in any way, reading assessment frameworks? Would they change?
That would be something big to say, but because this study was meant for low stake assessment, so I don't think it will give any effect on the policy of reading framework, because it's something that I am not in touch with. So yeah.
But it will help with
it will help
the
teachers
assessment
with
design.
teachers with classroom assessment, with reading, like formative assessment, summative assessment, in terms of how they diagnose the strengths and weaknesses of their students in classroom.
Right. Are there any other questions? If there there are no other questions, please join me in thanking Mohammed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we have 5 minutes for the next presenter to get set up, and if